Arsenal have made it 2 wins out of 2, this time at St James's Park, where everyone doubted us. This team produced a top performance, with the captain shining and Ramsdale thriving. Let's find out who's the glue behind this Arsenal team, how has Mikel Arteta evolved tactically, and where this leaves Arsenal in a title race as per. Let's break it all down and discuss the 5 things we learned from Newcastle 0, Arsenal 2. Yo, what is going on, guys? My name is Babs14, welcome back to your boys channel, and oh boy was that a gargantuan victory. It was much needed, it was a bit of a statement, and we have got a lot to break down, so as per, smash a like if you enjoy, subscribe to the channel if you are new, and do help your boy on his road to 200,000 subscribers. We're starting off with Arsenal's away day difference maker. Arsenal had just gone through the toughest part of the season, 4 games without a win, the title slipping away, Man City were cruising and Arsenal were faltering, and that's where these last 2 games against Chelsea and Newcastle was chance to get our season back on track, and where all the questions will be in Arsenal on who is going to step up. Rise up the Arsenal captain. Today he was at it once again with another goal and a 7.2 overall rating. With a 0.5 xg, 0.18 expected assists, 43 touches, 22 accurate passes, 2 key passes, 1 big chance created, and 1 successful dribble. The way that Newcastle started that game, the pressure they were applying, the atmosphere was building, and you could sense that Arsenal might have conceded. Our goal was against the run of play, and it was the perfect way to silence the crowd. It's not the first time we've seen Odegaard produce this type of goal, almost a carbon copy to his goal against Spurs away. Odegaard is now showing on a consistent basis he has the ball striking to fire long shots out of nowhere, and it's been a while since Arsenal had that type of player, and it's in that goal scoring department that Martin Odegaard is taking his game to the next level. We are now talking 15 goals this season, all non-penalties. That means that Martin Odegaard is equal the Premier League record for most non-penalty goals scored by a Premier League central midfielder in a season. That of course was Kevin De Bruyne, and the fact that Odegaard is doing this at 24 years of age, it goes to show his overall level of potential. And in the Premier League, if there is a profile similar to Kevin De Bruyne, that might be Martin Odegaard. In this game, it was more than just a goal. His constant movement into spaces, understanding where to be and hurt Newcastle the most. I love the fact that Odegaard constantly wanted the ball because he wanted to make things happen. This is what captains do. They take control in tough moments. They lead by example. And it's in those away games where this season Odegaard has clearly thrived. Martin Odegaard now has 12 goal contributions, the second highest in the league, only behind Erling Haaland and Harry Kane. To score 9 away goals this season, goals against Spurs away, Newcastle away. He may not always be perfect, there is still a little bit of room for improvement, but that's totally fine because at 24 years of age, I do not expect the complete package. And when Arsenal were able to get him into dangerous positions, this game proved how decisive he can be. But we also have to talk about the performance of Granit Xhaka. A fundamental part of this game was always going to be the desire to win the game. As Mikel Arteta says, the players were diving for every single ball, and none more so than Granit Xhaka, who in the second half made a tremendous block as it looked certain that Joe Willock was about to score. And it's the way that he was playing, his demeanour on the pitch, it seemed like Xhaka was playing personally. This guy before the game talked about the importance of getting revenge from last season, how much it hurt to lose there last year and lose out on Champions League football. He knows how much this means. He talked the talk and he walked the walk. Xhaka's always been a very emotional player, and sometimes that can go against him. But now that he's getting to the age where he's able to channel it in the right direction, that's where you see Granit Xhaka at his best. Moving on to the second thing, Arsenal's dark arts. Newcastle are a ferocious team, and especially at St James's Park, when these guys get going, they can blow you out of the water. Ask the Spurs fans that conceded 6 there, the United fans that got battered, and that's where Arsenal were always going to have to slow the game down. They'd have to find ways to break the Newcastle momentum, and that's where Mikel Arteta's team pulled out the dark arts. From your tactical fouls to tactical injuries, trying to ensure that Newcastle were not able to find momentum and rhythm. As Eddie Howe says after the game, it was frustrating because we wanted the ball in play, but it was very stop-start, which suits the away team. And as the stats show, the ball was in play for a total of 56 minutes, which is in total 5 minutes less than the league average. The most ironic part is that Newcastle themselves are very good at time wasting. It's exactly what they did at the Emirates Stadium. Nick Pope was constantly wasting time, and from that game Mikel Arteta learned to play against Newcastle, especially away from home. You need to give them a taste of their own medicine. And in total, in terms of the XG, it was a very equal game. Newcastle slightly edging it with 1.41 to Arsenal's 1.38, and even the overall stats show a very equal game, with Arsenal having slightly less possession, only 33 final third entries and a 1.7 expected threat created. It's a similar case in terms of field tilts. Newcastle again slightly edging it at 57%, with a lot of that skewed right towards the end as they were going for it. It's not the normal levels of dominance that as Arsenal fans are used to, but at St James's Park no teams really do do that to them. Spurs lost their 6-1. It could have been the same against Man United. Not even Man City have been able to beat Newcastle at St James's Park. The only team of course that have beaten them is Liverpool, but with 11 men on the pitch, Arsenal are the first and only team this season to win at St James's Park. Where other teams had been blown out of the water, Arsenal made us an equal game and then took advantage of their moments. There is no denying there was also fortune on our side, from the amount of times they hit the post to even conceding an own goal. But you have to understand that not every game are you going to get a dominant performance week in, week out. But winning in different ways when things are against you is a very important trait to have, especially when you're fighting for a title, because you're not always going to be perfect, but you always need to find a way to win. In terms of Mikel Arteta in this game, there was a clear change, and that is shown by the passing networks. In that Arsenal midfield three, you can clearly see the Granit Xhaka was playing a lot deeper, almost forming a pivot alongside Jorginho. And that was a wise move by Arteta. Newcastle have a very attacking and powerful midfield. Joe Linton and Joe Willock love to get forwards, so to have Granit Xhaka playing alongside Jorginho to help Arsenal slow the game down was Mikel Arteta finding some sort of solution. To win at St James's Park, Arsenal always were going to have to fight. Every single player had to work hard, and that's when you had the hard working attackers. With Gabriel Martinelli and Bukayo Saka winning a combined 9 tackles today, and both setting a personal best record. We often praise them for their attacking ability, but in this game we saw the desire to work and help the team. And Gabriel Martinelli produced a very underrated performance. A 7.5 overall rating with 1 shot on target, 2 off target, 3 successful dribbles, 1 big chance missed, 12 accurate passes, 2 key passes, 1 big chance created, and 9 ground duels won. And of course playing a major part in the second own goal. I love the fact that Gabriel Martinelli is so direct. He's always trying to make something happen. And I also believe in terms of seasons, we often talk about Odegaard and Saka as Arsenal's best players, but with the consistent output of Gabriel Martinelli, for me he deserves to be in that level of conversation. And as Gary Neville says, Arsenal grew up a lot today. The fact that we've been able to go to a ground where only one team has won all season with their fans in electric fashion. But that statement came from the Arsenal team, showcasing that these guys can fight in tough atmospheres. Whether that leads to a title this year or not, it's building experience for the long term. To go to Newcastle in a title fight where those guys are fighting for Champions League football and to now get a win, it will give these Arsenal players a different level of belief. In these tough atmospheres, these players now know they have the ability to survive, to hang on, and find some sort of composure in the chaos. Moving on to the third thing, Arsenal's midfield glue. To drop Thomas Partey against Chelsea was massive in the first place, but this game against Newcastle was even bigger. With their level of physicality of Bruno Guimaraes, Joe Linton, Joe Willock, Jorginho does not have the legs to really cope with those players. A lot of people thought that he was going to struggle, but this guy has played in Champions League and Euros finals. He has the experience of being there and doing it, and in this game J20 dropped a masterclass. Awarded the official player of the match, 70 overall touches, 44 passes completed, 7 duels won the ball back 9 times, created 2 chances, and even assisted the Odegaard goal. Newcastle were always going to have the physical edge, and Mikel Arteta understood that. So as he says, Jorginho was man of the match. There were question marks because it was always going to be really physical, but if you want to go physicality versus physicality, we have no chance to win, so we had to try something different. Newcastle were not giving Arsenal any time on the ball, and that's where we needed Jorginho. The ability to pick the right pass at the right time, knowing exactly when to slow the game down, keep it simple, make no stupid errors. We saw how costly it was against West Ham where Thomas Partey gave the ball away and West Ham got a penalty. In this game, Mikel Arteta was not going to take any risks, and that's where Jorginho provided Arsenal technical security. As always, his pass selection was on point, and that's where the rest of the Arsenal players were growing in confidence, because they had a player they could trust on the ball. They know that he's played in tough atmospheres, and in that young Arsenal team we had a player to turn to that had the experience of winning tough games. Arsenal have now won 5 out of the 6 league games he started, and in these past few games his impact's been very positive. He's improved the likes of Xhaka and Odegaard. To have signed him for around £12 million, what you can see straight away is why Mikel Arteta has always wanted him. The profile of Jorginho is a classic number 6, a typical regista. They might not have the physical power and the pace, but they are fantastic ball circulators. The fact that he's 31 means he won't be the long-term solution. We might want the likes of Declan Rice and Moses Caicedo, but on top of that you've also got links to Martin Zubimendi, a profile somewhat similar to Jorginho. And now Mikel Arteta has a bit of a dilemma. What's going to happen with Thomas Partey? In his final 3 games, can he fight for his place is back? Talk to me down below in the comments, and what do you believe Mikel Arteta needs to do going into the future? Moving on to the fourth thing, and that is Mikel Arteta's evolution. In the games against Liverpool, West Ham and Southampton, Mikel Arteta got questioned, and it was all down to his game management. Especially in that game against Liverpool, Alexander Zinchenko was definitely struggling, and by leaving him on too long, it ended up costing Arsenal a goal. 2 massive points in a title race. In this game here, Mikel Arteta saw a similar theme developing. Newcastle were trying to target Zinchenko on the left hand side, but this time around Mikel Arteta had learnt, and in the 61st minute it was time to throw on Kieran Tierney. Exactly what the Arsenal defence needed to hold the game down. Tierney of course is the better defensive fullback. He's far better in terms of duel winning and 1v1 ability. It's the perfect example of Mikel Arteta using a finisher, a player off the bench to help see the game out and ensure that Arsenal collect all 3 points. But in terms of the defence, you also have to talk about Jakub Kiwior. Starting in his second game in a row, the Polish international was once again solid. A 7.2 overall rating with 4 clearances, 1 block shot, 1 interception, 2 tackles, 24 accurate passes, 2 out of 2 ground duels and 2 out of 4 in the air. Let's not forget the form of Isak and Wilson. The fact that Kiwior was able to hold those guys off. Giroud passed a grand total of 0 times. He definitely passed a massive test, and the best way to describe Kiwior was he was so good that you could barely even notice him, silently going about doing his business, giving Arsenal calmness and composure on the ball, winning his duels and able to intercept. Kiwior was almost our silent assassin, and where in the game against Chelsea he wasn't really pressed, Newcastle tried it, but as we saw, Kiwior has the level of technical security. He's got very good passing technique, his striking of the ball is very clean, and that is why despite being left-footed he's able to play on the right hand side. It's definitely been a bit of a surprise and somewhat bittersweet. The idea that he has been so reliable in his last 2 games, what if Mikel Arteta threw him in earlier? Arsenal have actually won 23 league games out of 29, where either Saliba or Kiwior had started. It shows that with the right profile of centre backs, Arsenal's form is imperious. It is up there with the best version of Man City, and it's exactly why Arsenal are targeting to sign a new right centre back in the summer. From names like Mark Guehi, someone of that sort of profile as a backup centre back for Arsenal would be amazing and would help prevent any sort of potential collapse. Arsenal have also now kept a clean sheet for the first time in 7 games, and in total that is our 10th clean sheet away from home this season. That is more than double of any other team in the league. But this game was far from simple, as the XG showed Newcastle made a lot of chances. Arsenal had to earn their clean sheet, and that's where you had the performance of Aaron Ramsdale. Jorginho was fantastic and so was Odegaard, but Ramsdale might have actually been the man of the match in terms of how much he actually saved Arsenal. Some top saves in the first half, the standout one was the second half from a free kick. It seems almost certain to be a goal. Eddie Howe is basically celebrating, but Ramsdale is able to react, and it's yet another tough away game that Aaron Ramsdale has turned up. Think about the performances against Spurs away, Liverpool away, and now even Newcastle. In some of our hardest away games of the season, Aaron Ramsdale has turned up, saved Arsenal points. He's able to rise to the occasion, and that is so perfect for Arsenal, especially next season fighting in the Champions League. We could be going to some very difficult away games, and Ramsdale is showing on a consistent basis that he can thrive in those tough environments in the right moments. Moving on to the 5th thing, the Gunners get revenge. This game here had a pre-game narrative, and it was written to be a Newcastle victory. And having beaten Arsenal last year, they may have even had a mental advantage. A lot of Arsenal fans had PTSD, but Mikel Arteta made sure to use last year as a way to grow. And as Aaron Ramsdale explains after the game, Arteta showed the Arsenal players and staff a section of the All or Nothing documentary from the game against Newcastle last season, and the Arsenal players used that to get some sweet revenge. And they changed a 2-0 defeat to a 2-0 victory. And the irony is last year it was an own goal from a defender and a midfield goal. They won it for Newcastle 2-0. This time round it was the opposite. There are certain games this year like Crystal Palace away, Brentford away, Aston Villa away, grounds where in previous years Arsenal have struggled. This year they have found a way, and winning those sorts of games is very important because it shows Arsenal getting over the mental block. This young team is definitely learning, and the improvement this year has been simply undeniable. Arsenal have now accumulated 80 points in the Premier League for the first time since 2008, and with 81 points in total they have mathematically confirmed at bare minimum a second place finish. Do not put us in the categories of Newcastle's, Man United's and Liverpool's. Right now Arsenal are a level above. Even though people are waiting for Arsenal to fail, the reality is that Arsenal could get even better. But the focus for now is still on this season, and of course it's all on the title race. And in that, before the Arsenal game, Man City played and won 2-1 against Sam Allardyce's Leeds United, and in the process they have now won 10 Premier League games in a row, and they remain 1 point clear of Arsenal on 82 points with also 1 game in hand. The The one thing in Arsenal's favour is the amount of games that Man City have. We are playing 3 games in 3 weeks, whereas Man City have a game every 3 days. They've got games against Real Madrid in the Champions League, an FA Cup final, as well as potentially some difficult away games. Everton away, Brentford away and Brighton away. For Arsenal, the 3 games remaining are Brighton at home, Nottingham Forest away and Wolves at home. The title is in Man City's hands, but for Arsenal it's one simple focus: maximise your points. With 9 points remaining, if we can get up to 90 points, it would be the same amount of points as the Invincibles. But what are your thoughts on today's game? Which Arsenal player impressed you the most? And do you believe Arsenal stand any chance of pulling it back? But that is the video there and there, so hopefully you guys have enjoyed. If you have, don't forget to smash a like and also subscribe to the channel if you are new. If you want to follow your boy on all of his social medias, then the links are down below in the description. But that was the 5 things we learned from Newcastle 0, Arsenal 2. A bit of a surprise victory but gargantuan nonetheless, and a bit of a statement as well to Man City that we are still here and we are not giving up. Anyways guys, I'll see you next time. Take care and in a bit.